Hi, good evening, students. How are you all? I hope you all have been able to see the first video of mine on the first chapter, The Enchanted Pool. Today, I shall be taking the second chapter called The Three Questions. This chapter is a very short story written by one of literature's most famous novelists, Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy was an author born in Russia in the 18th century, and he is known to have written some very famous books. Some of his books are War and Peace and Anna Karenina. Leo Tolstoy was known for his creative writing and his ability to convey a message in all his writings. Leo Tolstoy was also a philosopher and a thinker, and he strongly believed that his novels should not only entertain but also convey some deep message to each and every reader. So, without taking much of your time, I will start with the story, The Three Questions. The Three Questions. This story is about a king who had a huge kingdom to run. And during his reign, at one point, he wanted some answers to some of the questions that he had in his mind. So, this talks about the three questions that the king wanted answers for. So, what are these three questions? Let me start reading. A king has three questions and he is seeking answers to them. What are the questions? Does the king get what he wants? Let's read on to find out. So, the first question, what is the right time to begin something? The second question, who should listen? Who should a king listen to? The third question, what is the most important thing for a king to do? So the king called all his messengers. Messengers are people who convey the message of the king to the subjects, to his subjects. So in those days, we did not have post, they did not have email, internet like us. The only way to convey some message was through messengers. People who used to take the king's messages and go and talk about it in the public. So therefore, the king sent messengers throughout his kingdom, across his kingdom, and promised that whosoever answered all the three questions to his satisfaction, a large amount of money, a large sum to anyone who answered would be given. So hearing this, many wise men came to the king, but each of them answered the questions differently. In reply to the first question, what is the right time to begin something? Some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly, like you prepare a timetable and then you follow. Some others said it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. The king should do whatever seemed necessary at that time. So whatever the king felt at a particular point of time, they said he should do that. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. A council of wise men, a council consists of people who are very knowledgeable and who come together to guide the king on matters of the state. But then others said that there were some things which could be very urgent, and the king, these things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future. So they said you should look into the future. Who can look into the future? At that time, there were only magicians, those who do magic. So only magicians could do that, they said. The king, therefore, they said, would have to go to magicians. In reply to the answer, in their answers to the second question, what is the second question? Who should a king listen to? In reply to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors because they were advising him all the time. They were very wise. Some others said priests. A few others chose doctors. And yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary people to whom the king should listen to. The third question. What is the third question? What is the most important thing for a king to do? To the third question, some said you should attack and capture kingdoms of other kings, defeat them in war and capture kingdoms. Others said you fight. Some others said engage in religious worship, do some pujas, homas, go to temples and worship. The king was not satisfied with these answers to the questions, and they were so different, so confusing, that he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit. In his kingdom, he knew that there was one hermit. Hermit is a person who lives alone, who is a thinker, who is a very wise man, and who keeps to himself. And he only advises when somebody asks him to advise. So he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. So this hermit was very well known for his wise words. The king decided to put on ordinary clothes because he didn't want the hermit to know that he was the king of the kingdom. So the king put on ordinary clothes and went to meet the hermit. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went alone. So he told the bodyguard, "You wait here. I will come soon. Take care of my horse." So the king walked to the hermit's hut, and as the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. The hermit was digging the ground, making a hole. He greeted the king. He said, "Hi, king, how are you?" and continued digging. Not king. He said, "Hi, how are you?" because he thought some man has come. And he continued digging. The king went up to the hermit and said, "I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions of mine." And he repeated those 3 questions again. What were the 3 questions? What is the right time to begin something? Who should a king listen to? What is the most important thing for a king to do? The hermit listened to the king's questions, but did not speak. He kept silent and went on digging. The king saw for some time, and then he said, "Okay, hermit, you look tired. Take rest. Let me take the spade." The spade is the equipment with which the hermit was digging a hole. "And work in your place. I will do the digging. You go and sit." "Thanks," said the hermit, giving the king a spade. So the king had dug 2 beds. The hermit was doing 1 bed. The king dug 2 beds. He stopped. After he dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer again. 1 hour passed, then another hour passed, then another hour passed. Finally, it was evening time and the sun went down behind the trees. At last, the king stuck the spade into the ground. He was very frustrated. Said, "I've been digging from morning." He came to the hermit and said, "I came to you, wise man, for answering my questions. If you can give no answer, tell me so and I will return home." Suddenly, the hermit looked beyond the king, looked behind the king, and he said, "Hey, see, here comes someone running," said the hermit. The king turned around in the direction of the hermit, where the hermit pointed out, and saw a bearded man running towards them, a man with a beard like how I have a beard. His hands were pressed against his stomach from which blood was flowing. So he was coming running, his hand was pressed against stomach and blood was flowing. When he reached the king, he fainted, he fell down and fell to the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. The king washed it and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. The king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. The man was so tired after all this running and coming and seeking help that he closed his eyes and lay quiet. The king also was very tired by his walk and the work he had done, also lay down on the floor and slept through the night. When he woke up, it was several minutes before he could remember where he was or who the strange bearded man lying on the bed was. When the king woke up, he was surprised because he suddenly got up and saw he was in a different place because he was used to getting up in a palatial bed in the palace. So he was wondering where he was. And suddenly he saw one more man sleeping by his side, a bearded man whom he did not know. Now the bearded man was not sleeping at that time when the king got up. So he immediately said, "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that the king was awake. The king said, "I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. The bearded man said, "You do not know me, but I know you. I know you are the king. And I will tell you, I am that enemy of yours who swore revenge on you because you put my brother to death and seized my property." So this man actually was the brother of one of the people whom the king killed, and took his property. So I made up my mind to kill you because I saw you coming alone here and thought that I will hide in a place and kill you. But I was hiding in a place and the whole day passed, you did not come, you did not return. So I left my hiding place and I came upon your bodyguard. So I left my hiding place and I saw the bodyguard saw me and the bodyguard recognized who I was. He knew who I was, who recognized me and wounded me. He wounded me. I somehow escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. I wished to kill you and you would have saved my life. Now if I live, I will serve you as your most faithful servant. So he said, I wanted to kill you, but you saved my life. Now if I live, if I go through and become well, I will serve you till my death. I'll be your faithful servant. The king was very happy because he made peace. He did not have to fight with this enemy and he made peace with his enemy so easily and won him over as a friend. He made a friend. So he not only forgave him, but he also promised to give him back his property. Leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and looked around for the hermit because he suddenly realized he has come for answers to his questions. And the hermit was not there. So he went out and he saw that the hermit was somewhere outside. The king went up to the hermit and said, for the last time, I beg of you to answer my questions, wise man. The hermit looked at the king and said, you have been already answered, said the hermit. How have I been answered? What do you mean? The hermit said, do you not see? Replied the hermit. If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, you would have gone away. Then that man would have attacked you and he would have killed you. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds. And I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Later, when the man ran to us, the most important time was when we were caring for him. Because if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without knowing or having made peace with you. He was the most important man. What you did for him was your most important business, said the hermit. So, students, the answer to the three questions. What is the right time to begin something? Remember then, said the hermit, there's only one time that is important. That time is now. It is the most important time because it is the only time we have any power to act. So right now, students, you all are watching this video and understanding this lesson. So this is the most important time now, not tomorrow, not 1 hour afterwards. So you have to pay attention to listen to this video and understand the lesson. Second question, who should a king listen to? The most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular moment. Right now, you are with me, I am with you. You are listening to me, I am speaking to you. So I am the most important person for you. You are the most important person for me. What is the most important thing for a king to do? The most important business to do is to that person good, because we are sent into this world for that purpose alone. So the most important person, business that a king has to do, that is to be done now, is like we are doing some good to each other. I am teaching you something and you are learning something. So that is the only purpose right now. Right, friends? So as you see, we have come to the end of this letter, and there are some meanings that have been given at the end of the chapter. I'll just read out some of them. Like affairs means things, matter, business. Spade is a tool for digging, as I said. Fatally means seriously wounded. As I also told you about the author, he was called as Count Leo Tolstoy. He died in 1910, and his ability to weave stories and his wonderful characters and his narrative capabilities are appreciated in every part of the world, even to this day. Thank you, friends. Have a nice time reading this chapter and answering all the questions that are at the end of this chapter. We shall connect again with all your doubts, and I hope I shall be able to provide you with answers to all those doubts. Thank you. Bye.